Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to a special episode. My name is Sean Wasserkrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. And today we are talking about Jurassic World Dominion. This is the spoiler discussion, spoiler review, whatever you want to call it. Here's your spoiler warning. We are going to talk about everything and basically all about this movie, what we liked, disliked, everything. So if you don't want to be spoiled, watch my non-spoiler review, and hopefully I don't spoil the shit out of that because I haven't really done my non-spoiler yet because I just need to get all the spoiler stuff out first. So there's your warning. And if anyone who hasn't checked, Brian and I did an episode of Franchise Flashback where we discussed the entire Jurassic franchise before this released. So we did not know about Jurassic World Dominion before we shot that film, even though it has not been dropped yet. It'll be dropped before this one will, though. So we went in with no idea of how Dominion was going to be prior to the filming of that episode. But we're talking about Dominion here. Obviously, we said it on the Flashback show. The Jurassic franchise is very, very important to both of us. Especially me, if it basically shaped my love of movies and kind of kickstarted my obsession with films. Brian was a little older when it came out, but he loves it just as much. Now, me, I have been, of the 5 films, there are 2 that I absolutely loathe and hate. Brian likes pretty much all of them, but he has levels of like, correct on that? Yeah. I fucking hate Fallen Kingdom, and I hate Jurassic Park 3, but I love, obviously, Jurassic Park, Lost World, and Jurassic World. Brian, I think you didn't you say it was like for you, it was like, what was your ranking before this movie?
Well, Jurassic World and Jurassic Park are in this top tier.
Yeah.
Those 2. Lost World and Fallen Kingdom for me are second tier. And Jurassic Park 3, which I still enjoy for what it is, but it's definitely not nearly as good as the other ones.
And it's one of those things too, is that I viciously bash Jurassic Park 3 and Fallen Kingdom, but just like we say with the MCU, even the worst MCU movie is still better than most people out there. I can hate Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic Park 3 as much as I want, but I still probably have watched both those movies multiple times because it's still Jurassic. Like, I hate them, but that hasn't stopped me from rewatching them. You know, it's like we both agree that Thor: The Dark World and Captain Marvel and Iron Man 2 are probably the worst MCU movies, but that hasn't stopped us from rewatching those whenever we try to do an MCU rewatch. So going into this, I think you and I were both kind of like a little worried because word of mouth wasn't that strong.
Just in the past week, when reviews started hitting and I started hearing a lot of mixed or even negative kind of word of mouth, it was I went in kind of worried. I mean, I was honestly, I think I was a little more hopeful than you, simply because I'm hearing it, because a lot of people didn't like Fallen Kingdom, and a lot of people didn't even like Jurassic World if they were like real purists for Jurassic Park. But I have really enjoyed both those movies, so I figured I'm used to not agreeing with most of the public, so I might differ with them on this one as well.
Yeah, it also didn't help that because Brian saw this before I did by about a few hours because I had to work. And so I didn't get to go to the early show.
And I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to see it that night. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was one of those things where it's like, oh, it's a really, really late showing. So I'm just going to power through work, go see it, and maybe get 3 hours of sleep before I had to go back to work the next day. So I'm at work, and I get a text from Brian going, prepare yourself. You're probably really going to hate this. Which to me, and I said him the meme of Padme from Revenge of the Sith, you're breaking my heart. Because I was just like, I didn't want to hear that.
And let me just explain what that was. It was not because, I mean, we'll get into it later, but it wasn't because I hated it. It's because one of my main thoughts coming out of the movie was they really doubled down on a lot of the ideas and things introduced in Fallen Kingdom. So I think a lot of the people that didn't like Fallen Kingdom, if you didn't like that, you're probably not going to like this too. And that's why I sent him that message.
Yeah, because
knowing how he feels about Fallen Kingdom.
Because it got to the point when he sent that to me, I was like, fuck, do I really want to go see it now tonight? Because I was going to see it today because I've seen it twice now. Brian's seen it once. So it's fresh in my mind. I literally just came home from seeing it the second time. So it's really fresh in my mind right now. But it got to the point where, after he sent me that message, I was like, oh, do I want to go see it tonight or do I just want to wait for tomorrow?
And that's the opposite effect of what I wanted. Because what I wanted was I wanted you to not go in with these huge expectations so that you might enjoy it more.
Oh, I went in.
I wasn't trying to make you go. Oh, I'm gonna hate this. Don't want to.
I went in with the lowest of low expectations. I went in with the mindset of Jurassic Park 3 meets Fallen Kingdom. So it was one of those things where I think. Well, first things first. What were your thoughts? General thoughts before we dive into the whole thing. General thoughts of what you thought.
Very general thoughts. I actually still very much enjoyed this movie. It definitely has its problems. I think that it's a little long, a little convoluted. There's whole subplots which I will discuss that they could have gotten rid of. And not like I think I said before, is this isn't the as like the grand finale supposedly of the franchise. This isn't exactly what I wanted, but I still enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, and just like most Jurassic Park movies, except for Fallen Kingdom, I left the theater and I was like, you know what? And I immediately texted Brian. Granted, it was like 1:30 in the morning at that time. And I was like, I have a lot of thoughts, but I didn't hate it. I go, but we'll talk about it tomorrow because I got to go home and get to sleep. But then I had to drive 30 minutes home, and in that 30 minutes, things kept coming to me going, well, that didn't work. That didn't work. Why'd they do that? Why'd they do that? Why'd they do that? So by the time I got home, I was like, I still don't hate it. It's not Fallen Kingdom and it's not Jurassic Park 3 for me. But I also didn't necessarily love it or like it either. There are parts of the film that I quite enjoyed. Was I entertained for most of the film? Yes, I was. And if we're just basing it off of that, then Jurassic World Dominion, great. It's going to entertain you. It's going to, not make you feel bored for 2.5 hours. But the Jurassic Park fanatic in me, and then the movie critic part of me, this movie's a mess. It's a really, really big mess. Frankly, I think, and like you said, convoluted, too many subplots. Not that I necessarily wanted this. They really should have made this 2 different films because it feels like 2 different films. I also feel that the trailers, especially the first trailer, misled everybody into thinking that this film was going to be about Jurassic World, like dinosaurs in the world, how they're going to handle the dinosaurs out and about in the world, and them trying to figure that out. And for the first 20, 30 minutes.
Not even.
Yeah, not even that. They were doing that. And then it became the same Jurassic Park film that we've seen. Let's go to the secluded area that's in the jungle where no other humans are. And we'll just, XYZ, do the same film we've done before, just a little bit different. And in that, now granted, if there's one part of this movie that I absolutely despised and hated, was really right at the beginning. And I'm not talking about the Mesosaurus part. That part was great. I was like, all right, that's a good opener. It was this broadcast news. Let's catch you up to everything that's happened in these films so far. It's a Jurassic Park franchise. You do not need to catch us up. And it was poorly written. It was poorly acted. It was poorly spoken throughout it. It was more like for the kids who are too don't have the patience to sit through the first 5 films. And it's like, let's catch you up to everything. Here's it's almost like the Starship Troopers. Would you like to know more? Kind of thing. And it was so badly done. And then it goes into the Triceratops thing, which once again, I'm sorry, I don't buy Claire as this character. Hold on, because I know you're gonna defend Claire. In this scene, I don't buy Claire as this kind of character. The rest of the movie, I was actually pro Claire through most of this movie because I feel like everything after this scene was well earned for her. I actually think this is probably her best performance. A lot of people are knocking her for this film. I actually think this is Bryce Dallas Howard's best performance of the 3 films, personally. But that scene once again, it felt like a different movie. And they brought back the was it Justice Smith and Daniela Pineda from the previous film, and then they were just like, okay, cool, they're gone, bye. It's like, they just left. They weren't even in the movie. Like, well, I mean, Justice Smith pops up one more time, but I was like, so cool. That's the end of Panita in this movie. Like, she decided she just was like, I'm done with dinosaurs. Like, you're a dinosaur doctor. You're part of the group, but no, fuck this movie. I'm done. And I was just like, that's the other part too. Is there's just too many characters, and it feels like they should have made two separate movies. I feel like they should have made a movie in between, which they were kind of doing that with these, like the Bedrock or is it Bedrock?
Battle at Big Rock.
Battle at Big Rock, like these little mini movies. They could have kept doing that. That and the movie theater shot trailer, which was not in the fucking movie. I feel like the first movie should have been what this movie was promising, which was Jurassic World and the world having to deal and figure out a way to basically understand and how to handle these dinosaurs. Through that film, they could have built up Biosphere instead of just dropping it in a newscast and go, oh, okay, cool, they're in front of everything. It's like, what? Wow, there is no build to this thing. Granted, they are the group from the very first film that Nedry was stealing the stuff for, but that's like a blink and you won't hear the Biosphere name kind of thing. And then they're never brought up again through the rest of the franchise. So to just kind of drop them in a news report and go, they're the end all be all of everything. And it's like, what? No. Now, had they done a film of the world and then them coming up and kind of taking ownership of everything, then you could have done this rest of the film in another movie. And I feel like storyline wise, it would have been stronger and it would have flowed better. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I have a whole lot of stuff I want to comment on. I didn't realize I want to go that in depth in my general thoughts.
No, I mean, it kind of just flowed in. Well, because that's why I wanted to get you first, so I could just flow into it.
So at the end of the last movie, I talked about in the Jurassic Park franchise recap. I thought, the last movie ended with where we wanted to be. We want to see, like you said, dinosaurs out in the world living with people and how that affects the world. And they get into this movie, and it's like basically like a 1 minute little montage.
It's the trailer reel.
Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, there's like another 1 minute montage where it's kind of like that. But beyond that, the rest of it is just they're basically in like another, a preserve or reservation or whatever it is, a contained area. Aside from one scene where two of them escape and are attacking them in Malta, but that's essentially
a whole. We're going to talk about Malta.
But other than that, it was like you said, we didn't get the dinosaurs out in the world, which is, I mean, I'm jumping way to the end here, but that's the one thing about this movie is it begins and ends in the exact same place where it's like dinosaurs and people are going to be together in the world. They have to learn to just live together. And at the end of the movie, it's the same thing. It's like, we didn't actually move the story forward at all.
No, this felt like a side quest from the story that we were intended to see. And them saying this is the last one, we're not making another one, which I'll believe that when I see it. Cool. Make the movie we actually were wanting to see now with this.
As far as Zia and Franklin, Danielle Pineda and Justice Smith, I liked seeing them. I wasn't sure if they're going to be in this movie because I hadn't looked at the cast list or anything like that. I was happy to see both those characters back in this movie. And I thought I really liked their characters, even the way they used them in this movie. I understand they were just basically going to be essentially one scene cameos or two scenes in the case of Justice Smith, because the fact of the matter is you have so many characters already you're shoving in this movie, plus you're going to bring in some more new ones later on for different things. I get it. I had no problem with them being just
I just think there should have been like another scene with Pineda, basically them trying to say, hey, help us, and her go, no, like I said, I'm out.
I will say one thing is I think the movie was so long and so much happened in this movie that I had almost forgotten that was the same movie. Somebody mentioned something about Zia and Franklin. I'm like, oh yeah, they were in the beginning of this movie. I forgot.
Like I said, because I just saw the movie, everything's fresh in my brain, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of like I'm gonna say this, you're like, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Granted, it's been 24 hours.
Did I watch that in a previous movie? No, that was the same movie. I was in.
And it didn't feel like it was a part of the same film, because like after they saved the little Triceratops, which during my Jurassic Park thing, I said Stegosaurus, Triceratops needs more time. Triceratops did. Stegosaurus got like it's in the background kind of thing. And then the Dilophosaurus needed more, which we definitely got that. Which we'll touch on that later. But it was like, it just, this part, and then of course, they're having that conversation after they save it, and they're like, this is not the way to do it anymore, to kind of bookend that. But then they also are kind of like treating like Owen and Claire are not together. That it's this weird thing, but it's like they're practically married.
They were together, yeah.
Yeah, but like the way that like Zia and Franklin were pushing it, there's like, yeah, you guys are like kind of a thing.
Well, Zia just said it was weird that they were together, is all she said. Like, I guess maybe because you couldn't see those characters.
Her exact wording was, I think it was strange. And Franklin was like, yeah, you guys are still like a thing, right? And it's like, do you guys not know what's going on? Because like there's never a part of the film where Owen and Claire felt like they weren't straight up just like together. Like if anything, this to me was probably the one part of the franchise or of the new trilogy that I was like, okay, I'm actually buying Owen and Claire actually caring for each other in this film. Where
I bought them as a couple. I bought them as basically the de facto adoptive parents of Maisie, who, by the way, is not growing up to be a good actress.
I'm gonna okay, go ahead.
But yeah, I like them. Claire, again, I know you had a problem with her in Fallen Kingdom. I had no problem with what she was doing in this movie. It's kind of continuing the same thing where she's basically this activist, for dinosaurs. I totally get that 180 that she's made. And she was there basically to gain. She found this place which they were going to send the authorities, but of course she wanted to save the one because it was sick and wasn't going to save it. I mean, that whole scene, I actually didn't have a problem with that. I also, that opening newscast thing that, previously on Jurassic Park,
yes.
I honestly didn't hate that just because I get what they were going for. I think partially because they do have to kind of catch people up because they do want to make it accessible, at least somewhat, to people who haven't seen the franchise. But at the same time,
it was more, I think, it wasn't necessarily that they did that. It was the anchor person they had did it, was delivering it in such a tone
that like, and it was kind of a forced way to introduce Biosyn, which to me, that felt a little awkward jamming that in there. But I didn't have a problem with the newscast way they did it. I think it also, the newscast showing people and dinosaurs living alongside each other contained a lot of the footage that was in the prologue. And that was supposedly going to be the beginning of this movie. Now, what I think happened, this is theory only, is they got this movie that still is 2.5 hours long. At one point, it was even longer. They're like, we got to cut out some stuff. So I think that's when they cut it out and decided, let's put the prologue in theaters with, what was it, Fast 9, I think? And then they put it online after that. I think that they said, basically, let's put this online, and then we don't need to include that in the movie. We can chop, 5-10 minutes off of our time.
You can definitely tell there is some cuts in the film. Because clearly the T-Rex does get captured because that's all you see it on that plane, and then Ramsey makes him say like, "Oh yeah, he just arrived before you guys did," which means that there was an actual scene, which probably was the theater scene, where the T-Rex gets captured. I don't understand.
Well, we don't know it was a scene. They could have just.
Well, I mean, I would think if that part was in the film, then I would think that at some point that T-Rex gets captured and that's the T-Rex potentially that is sent to Biosphere's thing. But it's once again Biosyn. It's why take that out of the movie? That's a dinosaur scene. It's an action scene. Why?
Because you needed more time for the damn locusts.
We're gonna get to that. But here's I'm gonna get this little rant out of the way real quick. We're gonna touch on them later, but why does it seem like there's especially for the new trilogy? I'm not gonna say anything about the original trilogy because the original trilogy did not have this problem. It seems to me like in this new trilogy they have a clock. The T-Rex can only be on screen the whole film for under 5 minutes. The T-Rex is not allowed to be on camera for more than 5 minutes in any of these films. Why the fuck not? Jurassic World, less than 5 minutes. You got the big battle at the end. That's it. Fallen Kingdom, you've got little snippets here and there, not even up to 5 minutes. In this movie, not even 5, maybe right at the 5 minute mark. Why? Why is this a thing? And it's one of those where it's like I like, especially watching it the second time tonight. I was like, this is an actual thing. The T-Rex is not allowed to be on screen for more than 5 minutes. It's not like the old trilogy where it was it's actual animatronic. This is fucking CG. Why are you guys not letting us have the T-Rex? I don't
I
understand.
feel like they're treating us like they treat the park goers in Jurassic World, which is like, oh, they think, oh, well, by now everybody's just seen the T-Rex, they're bored of the T-Rex. We have to come up with a new dinosaur for every movie. No,
And
this one's bigger. This one's better. This one's bigger. This one's bigger. And it's like, you
it's
could have
like,
just given us the
no,
T-Rex. We'd have
just
been
give us
happy.
the fucking. We are simple. We're basic bitches. Give us a fucking T-Rex, and we will be satisfied. But no,
Although
under
you
five
should be
minutes.
happy there was nothing in this movie that started with Indo. So
Exactly, that was nice. Except they still kind of had an Indo kind of thing in the movie, which
Kinda.
we'll touch on that. But it was one of those things where I was just like, I don't understand. Like that's a great scene, and you can't pretend that everyone saw that scene. Not everyone watches the prologue trailers on the internet. Not everyone went and saw Fast 9. So that's a pretty great scene that they left out of the film. And I mean, like I said, we get this kind of Jurassic World thing. We get Owen and Claire and Maisie, which I'll say this. Yes, I was a hardcore hater of the whole clone storyline because it's just fucking ridiculous, which we're going to touch even more on that in a little bit. The actress, she wasn't bad. She was better than she was in Fallen Kingdom. But I don't necessarily blame her. It's her dialogue. They make her she's very snappy with everything. But if you think about it, a lot of characters' dialogue in this film is very 1-2 word, 1-2 word, 1-2 word. And then you have other characters that's like exposition dump. You get to talk for a whole fucking paragraph, and then everyone else is quip, quip, quip. I don't know if you noticed this, and I like kept track of this watching the second time. Chris Pratt doesn't say more than 2 sentences at once in the entire film. At all.
Chris Pratt's character also seems to have been sucked out of his personality and humor that he was so big on in the first.
The only time in this movie that he says more than 2 sentences at once without someone interrupting or anything is on the plane. And the only reason why it's 2 sentences long is because he repeats the same fucking sentence twice. Pratt never says anything longer than I think 5 or 7 words. I can memorize Pratt's entire dialogue of this film, and that's not a knock on Pratt. That's once again, it's the.
I just think part of it came from the fact that he is kind of the action star of the franchise.
But so he's also a comedy.
So when you bring back Sam, well, yeah, you bring back Ian Malcolm, who can do a lot of the comedy. You bring back Sam Neill and Laura Dern, who can do a lot of the more exposition-y type things and discussing and explaining dinosaurs and stuff to the audience. And so I think they like, well, okay, now that we have this big cast, your role is just action guy.
But you it's like one of those things where you take like you said, the heart of Owen out of the film. You take the humor, you take his Han Solo type character. Honestly, you took the Han Solo character out of Owen and you put it in is it Kyla? What's the pilot?
I don't remember.
DeWanda White. Kayla. It's Kayla, who I loved. I actually really, really enjoyed her. I thought she was fantastic. But as I'm watching this movie, it's like, she's basically Han Solo. She basically kind of has taken over the Owen character. She's the quippy one. She's got the one-liners, and she's a badass.
And she's a pilot.
What's that?
And she's a pilot.
And she basically has taken all of Pratt's best lines in the movie, and Pratt's just kind of 3 words, 2 words, stare, do the hand thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Owen. You can't do the hand thing to Allosaurus and the other one expect the fucking.
Here's my thing. Okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way.
I
enjoy the movie.
Get bit so bad.
I've said I enjoy this movie very much, but I have nitpicks, and one of them is the hand thing. Because when he raised Blue, he has trained Blue and the other raptors that he had. That made sense. They would respond to some kind of gesture that he has taught them. Basically heal, whatever.
Exactly. That's like a.
But then
stop.
But in this movie, any kind of dinosaur comes out, he's like, and they all obey instead of snapping his arm off. There's
the Malta scene where every person was doing this.
And then Maisie goes and does it to some raptors or something, and they stop and don't. I'm like,
yeah, it's like,
what?
Did National Geographic or someone come out saying that if ever dinosaurs ever recreated, if it comes at you, if you do this, it will distract it.
Or here's another theory. Maybe he wasn't a trained gesture. maybe he has the Force and he's holding them back.
Hey, we're charting ungrounded territory here. We're Star Wars galaxy long time ago, far, far away, and it's actually the same verse. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just one of those things. Like even with Maisie, when she does it at the end of the movie, I didn't hate that part. I think it's more of this like Beta's just he's a baby, and he has.
Did he genetically learn the gesture?
No, but it's one of those things where he had this little bond with her. At the beginning when she feeds him toast, and then she lets him out, and then she kind of yells at him, which makes him kind of go, okay. But then of course when Grant's doing it, he's like, fuck this person. He goes right after Grant because the hand thing doesn't fucking work. That's why it's a fucking.
That's not how the Force works.
That's not how the Force works. But it's like I felt bad for Chris Pratt in this film. So I was like, guys, he's not a bad actor. Why'd you take all this dialogue away? Because he really has no dialogue in this film. Any actor.
Like I said, I think they just made him the action guy because he's the one person who's like young enough. Like Ian Malcolm and Sam Neill aren't going to be doing big action scenes. No. So they said, that's on you. That's your role in this movie.
But you can still allow them to fucking talk. But yeah, I mean, you basically have them being surrogate dad and mom to Maisie in the film. Maisie's being hidden because, like I said, she's the clone, which they announced in the newscast. People are looking for all this kind of stuff. And obviously, I think she said she's 14 at this point. So, she's hitting that rebellious age. And the reason why I'm okay with Claire in this film is because after that initial Triceratops scene, she's basically just being protective mom throughout this movie. It's not about the will or like the taking care of the dinosaurs or protecting the dinosaurs. It's about protecting Maisie. Mm-hmm. And like I was going to say with Maisie, I didn't hate her performance in this film. I think it was more the dialogue that they gave her when they actually let her talk and actually deliver actual lines that are, more than just like a 1 or 2 word thing. I think she actually does a fine job. Maisie and Claire were probably 2 big improvements for me in this film.
As they went farther into the movie, I did think she was doing a better job. Those early couple scenes at the cabin, I was like,
it was very, very forced teenage angst kind of thing. But when she gets to Biosyn, I feel like her character does get a lot better. And I think it's one of those things, like maybe it's because when she's with Ellie and Grant, they're not talking at her, they're treating her like an equal. So she's allowing the dialogue to flow a lot better. Where with Owen and Claire, she's just talking at them because they're talking at her kind of thing. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like that whole sequence up until the point they get captured, I didn't hate any of that because that felt like Jurassic World. The Blue and Beta are out there. Blue's very super protective for Beta, obviously. And then you have like that I love that scene. It's in the trailer, but that scene with the Brontosaurus in like the construction site, and they draw it out and they bring out the baby one. Like those are the scenes to me that I think sells the movie. I mean, outside of being a Jurassic film, those are the scenes that sell the film. Figuring out how real world people are going to deal with this dinosaur situation. And then it becomes we got to save Beta, we got to save Maisie kind of thing. And then the other subplot or plot B of this movie that really doesn't need 2 fucking plots, the fucking locusts.
That was plot A. Let's be honest. That became
it really was plot. Well, I mean, it was plot. It was the plot of the OGs, whereas the plot of the irregulars of the current franchise was save Beta, save Maisie. Mm-hmm. OGs were locusts. I'm sorry. This is a fucking Jurassic movie. Dinosaurs should not be on the back burner in a Jurassic movie. Locusts should not be the fucking focal point of these films. Dinosaurs are, because it's a fucking dinosaur movie. That's like doing a Fast and Furious movie where maybe the entire film's motorcycles or scooters, and there's occasionally cars that happen in the film as well. I don't fucking care about this locust thing. I was honestly worried. I was really, really worried because I saw those 2 kids, and I thought those were going to be the 2 kids in this movie because I don't consider Maisie. I don't consider Maisie a kid.
Right.
I don't. She's a teenager.
Yeah, this movie was kid free, basically. Yeah.
Yes, that was a good thing. It was kid free, but because like those 2 kids popped up, and I was like, and they acted so badly. Oh my! The girl was. There was at one point where like they trap it, and she's like, huh. I'm like, what? Why? That is no. And then luckily they were gone. They were gone after that. So like that whole scene was poorly acted by those kids. But yes, it's a kid-free movie, which is a huge plus because I don't consider Maisie a kid.
Right.
But yes, this whole locust thing, it's
so the trailer.
Yeah. Like you see that
no
one
locust
shot.
in it.
You see that one shot.
There's one shot where you see a swarm of something, which I couldn't even tell the locusts. I don't think they were small birds.
I thought they were like maybe small pterodactyl or whatever.
The trailers have no indication that there are these large locusts in this movie.
You want to know why they weren't in the trailer? Because no one fucking wants to see locusts.
Exactly. And I'm like, and so when they show up, I'm like, okay, whatever. There's going to be some. It's just basically another clue that they're doing some kind of experimentation at Biosyn, whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I thought it was dumb that this paleobotanist, Elliot Sattler, is coming out to investigate these insects. But whatever.
And I hated, and like I said, it's different because like, what movie was it? I think it was Top Gun Maverick. You hated all the callbacks that they did, or you thought they did too many callbacks.
I liked most of them. It just got to be a little much at some point.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I was fine with most of that stuff. In this one, every callback annoyed me for the most part in this film. When she goes up and she does the glass thing, I was like, and I'm like, okay, what's she gonna see? It's like, it's the fucking crops eaten. That is not deserved for that.
Most of the callbacks in this, and I didn't mind either. I actually enjoyed most of the callbacks, especially this is later in the movie, but I really enjoyed when I forget who was it Kayla or somebody like made Ian Malcolm button up his shirt. That was fun.
That was fun. No, that was great. That was great. I did that. To me, that wasn't like that was a callback. It was also a knock on Malcolm, which I enjoyed. But yeah, like her doing the that wasn't owed for that moment.
But I mean,
continue with the fucking stupid locust so we can get them out of this thing.
But that was the way to introduce her, and that she came to investigate this locust thing happening. Which again, I thought, okay, this is just showing us that there's some kind of weird things going on in Biosyn and genetic testing or whatever. Fine. Yeah. But then they became such a primary focus of this movie, and I'm like, I don't care about insects. And clearly you knew that the public didn't care about insects because you hid them in your trailers.
But yet you take up most of the film about them.
Yeah.
Like you turned Wu into a good guy, apparently, by the end of this film because he wants to get rid of them. And
he gets to, I don't know if he's a good guy, but he gets to redeem himself by saying, okay,
he gets to redeem himself.
Which, can someone explain to me how changing the DNA of a locust is then going to spread to all the other locusts that already exist? I understand that maybe any subsequent ones that are born from him.
I didn't understand that either.
But it's
really unless it's like an STD and they all have like one big locust orgy. Or they bite each other.
Spread across how many states, and clearly they're breeding because they even said it's, they originally had thousands, now it's like millions. So clearly they're multiplying on their own. So even if it affected some of them, they're spread so far. There's still going to be more of them.
It's like I don't like.
Because first they said it can end it within one generation. Like, okay, so when this generation ends, the new generation won't have it. But that's only the ones that descend from that one you released. I still don't understand.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing is like, it'd be different if they dropped the line because like in Jurassic Park trilogy or the original, they were like, oh, the dinosaurs will fall into a coma and die if they don't get this vitamin, or I can't remember what it was. It was like lysine or something. Yeah. There's my trivia brain, lysine. If they don't get lysine, I think it was like after like 2 weeks or so many days or something, they fall into a coma and die. And it was like, okay, if the locusts are like that, then yeah, eventually, that one will maybe, breed everything else and go. But that's clearly not the case because Wu wants to destroy all the locusts and fucking what the hell is this? Oh yeah, Dodson, we got Dodson here. Oh my, no, we're gonna trust me. He's not gonna get off the hook. We're gonna fucking talk about Dodson. But it was one of these where like he's not. So clearly they're not gonna die from like lysine or anything. So like I said, I didn't understand like what you said. How this one it will get rid of everyone else.
There was mention of I heard the word pathogens. The only thing I can think of is, like you said, is going to somehow spread a disease to the other ones. I'm still not sure how that would spread to all of them.
Unless that locust bites the other locust like a zombie pandemic, or it fucks every fucking locust out there. I don't understand how that's going to fucking get rid of the millions and millions of locusts that have jumped continents, because we see that on the cell phone. I don't understand how that fixes that issue. And obviously the locusts, I mean, they're attacking people too. So I mean, like, let's think of like, oh yeah, it's the crops. Like, well, it was eating up Alan and Ellie's like suit when they were trapped in there. So it's like it's probably killing. They're probably killing people as well, in a way.
That being said, I did like seeing Wu get a little bit of redemption because he'd gone from being, John Hammond's like number 2 or whatever in the science lab to essentially a mustache twirling villain, and so I'm glad they kind of backed off on that. And
well, sorry. Here's what's bothering me about Wu though. Wu went from like in Jurassic Park like a young scientist, blah blah blah, to mustache twirling bad guy to like. Was he just really cold, or is he sick and dying?
No,
like he was like this frail like character. It's like, what happened to you?
He was depressed and miserable because he realized what he had done.
But he's like this, like I have like a what is a corduroy jacket kind of thing, cardigan, and he's like, oh no. I was like, what is with you in this movie? Can someone explain why Wu is this weird like kind of character?
Maybe they filmed this during COVID. Maybe he had it, and they had to film scenes.
Here's another part that bugged me about the fucking locust. So the locusts are in that square room. They light them on fire. Okay, cool.
With the world's least effective,
like ventilation system, basically.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: they get out of the building, and there's like a million. No, I'm sorry, not all of those were in that fucking room.
They weren't from that room.
No. Like like okay, there's maybe. Let's be generous here. Maybe there's 1,000 of them in there, but at that size,
it's supposed to be.
At that size, there were some that were like she was saying, like there's some that were like infant, 2 weeks, and then fully.
Yeah.
Let's be generous and say there's 1,000 locusts in that room. What shot out of the fucking building was 1,000,000 locusts. I'm
impressed that they can still fly and their wings still work while they're on fire. That's impressive.
And it's like I was like, because I remember when they all shoot out, I was like, where the fuck did all these locusts come from? Because they're all on fire, so it's like they weren't all in that room. There's no logical.
I just find it hilarious that this system was clearly made to be a burn room. So if something went wrong, wipe them out. And it has zero effectiveness because it killed off about 12 of them, and the rest of them all got out.
And they all eventually die because they all start falling down like fucking meteors, which I was like, I get the joke here. It's like, oh no, the dinosaurs are being attacked by meteors. So it's fucking bugs. like, let's be real. But yeah, like that whole scene, I was like, no, you created a 1,000,000 swarm. Like that's not how that works. Like there's no way that many could be in that room because there's no way Grant and Ellie could get in there and move. And with that many in that room, like the idea was stupid. You could have 100 of those on fire, you're gonna get the same fucking result. But instead, you make this like ungodly swarm, and it's like that makes no fucking sense. The Maisie part, once she gets to Biosyn, because I don't think there's really anything else worth talking about with Maisie until she gets to Biosyn. I love, and I'm using love, how they completely retconned the entire Hammond Lockwood storyline, because I paid attention to Fallen Kingdom. Lockwood creates the clone because he misses his daughter, and Hammond breaks their partnership because it's ungodly, blah, 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 whatever. Hammond dies in 1998. Clearly, Charlotte does not die then. Charlotte's the one who creates her, and it's like 2008. After the events of all 3 other Jurassic Park films, Hammond's way dead at this point. And that's when the human clone thing started. Because I remember, don't you remember that argument that everyone has? Like, there's no way Maisie would be 10 years old in Fallen Kingdom if all this shit happened when Hammond and Lockwood were no longer friends. Because she'd be like 20-something. Like, maybe she's not the first version. Maybe she's like, they've tried and failed. But no. All that shit fucking thrown out the window. They basically just completely retconned that entire fucking story.
I mean, she still is a clone. She was grown in her mother, so that part it should be partially retconned. The only loophole they have is that the story of what happened with the reason that Lockwood and Hammond had their breakup with that, it's coming from an unreliable narrator. We don't know that he was telling the truth. That's the only loophole they have.
All I know is because I was like, I know Brian's gonna push back on this. I literally pulled up Jurassic Park wiki, and it has a whole paragraph basically describing everything that they said in Fallen Kingdom. Was that after Lockwood's daughter died, he basically cloned his daughter to bring her back. Hammond somehow discovered when Lockwood was doing it.
Who told that story though?
What's that?
But who told that story?
That's the story of why Lockwood and Hammond weren't together.
Who told that version of the story?
I can't remember off the top of the head who told.
Wasn't it Rafe Spall's character?
It might have been Rafe. It might have been Rafe in the film.
So I mean, you could. But the bottom line, first of all,
the bottom line is they fucking retconned the whole thing
by users, by the way. And I'm not saying that they didn't retcon some stuff; they clearly did. But I'm just saying that it was like, okay, for people especially that hated that she was a clone, I thought this maybe would make them a little happier that she had a mother.
It did. I'm okay with what they did with it, but don't fucking pretend that you basically developed a whole storyline for this in the movie prior and then try to pretend that it didn't fucking happen. Like, it's not the Force. We're not going to forget this part of the film because we hated the clone thing so fucking much that we remember this fucking storyline. And then you try to go, oh yeah, that's not true. That didn't happen. Her being actually like basically kind of an embryo baby with Charlotte, I'm okay with that. It took the clone aspect of it away. It made it okay for me at that point. So the clone aspect didn't piss me off. Like I accepted it with the new storyline, but I was like, man, I'm like that. No, that contradicts everything that you said in the fucking Fallen Kingdom film. And I won't bring it up. That's all I had for that. Are we done with the fucking locust? Is there anything else you want to add about the locust?
Unless you want to use that to start on Dodgson.
I'm going to.
So Dodgson, clearly, I mean, okay.
Okay, this
first of all, I want to say when they first showed
Campbell Scott.
The first shot you see him is on the news broadcast.
Yeah.
And my daughter starts like excitedly tapping me on the shoulder. I'm like, what? Like that's the guy from the first movie. And I'm like, no, it's not. Well, no, because she was talking about the character. I missed the character.
Are you talking about Dodson? We got Dodson here, kind
Dodson,
of thing, or you think she was Hammond?
No. She saw that that the name was Dodgson. I didn't see that when I first saw it.
Oh, okay.
And so when she was saying he's the guy from the first movie, I thought she meant Campbell Scott. I'm like, no, he wasn't in the first movie.
No, I heard
later on when I realized it was Dodgson. I'm like, oh yeah, that is the same character from the first movie. It's just not.
I don't think necessarily it was the same character.
Oh, it is. It's Louis Dodgson. It's him. He even has the Barbasol can to make sure that people know that it was him.
Which, how the fuck did he get that can in the first place?
Well, I could, with his resources, I'm sure he has somebody go to the island.
No, I was going under the mindset of maybe the guy in the first film was related to him.
Oh no, they're both Louis Dodgson. And the age works out right. So I'm pretty sure they basically are saying this is the guy.
That makes me dislike this character.
In the first movie, he didn't strike me as the mastermind of.
No, he didn't. He
seemed like a lackey messenger.
Yeah, he was a goon.
Yeah.
Not even a goon. Yeah, he was a lackey messenger.
So I'm like, why did except to go wink wink, look, this is the guy from the first movie. There was no reason to make him Dodgson. You can still make this Campbell Scott character, fine. Yeah, but there's no reason for him to be Dodgson.
And you can still do Biosyn and stuff. You still do that, but like I caught it right away. And I was like, well, maybe it's like his brother or something.
Nope, it's supposed to be him.
That makes me hate this so much more. This makes me just ugh. But let's talk about the Dodson character. This dude puts on one of the worst fucking performances of the year. I hated everything about this performance. From the moment, like granted he was probably putting up a front, but that whole interaction with him, Ellie, and Grant in the beginning, where it looked like he just couldn't remember his fucking lines, but they just kept rolling. Like I hated that whole interaction. Like the only time I got
the impression that he was modeling his character.
I get that. I said he was probably putting up a front, but I hate
it. No, I meant I think the actor, Campbell Scott, I felt like he was modeling his character on like Steve Jobs.
Well, I get that.
Kind of same kind of thing where he wasn't necessarily the best guy with words and things like that.
But then when he's with everyone else, he is. But just certain things, like he's always got to be walking around and like chewing on something, or his interactions with people, and then the the moment where he loses his cool and does the thing. What the fuck are you doing here?
That was funny. I think it was supposed to be funny. I think because my theater was laughing. That was a funny moment.
My theater laughed, and it wasn't like it's funny. Like, what the fuck is this kind of laugh? It did not. It was
plenty of other movies where somebody got mad and was just like,
punch the fucking chair. Don't do this like nearly kind of thing. It's like, what the fuck is this shit? The character is horrible. This is a awful fucking character. I hated almost every time he was on screen. Now, when he talks to Wu, I was like, okay, now I'm starting to see this mastermind character. Like, I'm starting to kind of see everything's a front. But then he just kind of goes and does the same shit over again. Like, this character did not work for me. They could have done this character better. Like, if they kept the character kind of like this, he's this mastermind guy who is kind of putting up a front for everybody, but he really is all this. But then, like, he's doing like this like bad guy shit to his employees as well, kind of thing. And it's like, I feel like they don't understand what they want to do with this character. Is he a bad guy? Is he not a bad guy? Is he smart? Is he just this like Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg kind of character? Like, that's what it kind of felt like. It felt like Eisenberg's Luthor, where he was just weird and awkward and didn't quite know what to do, but he's smart. But you just didn't understand what they were wanting to actually do with the character, which leads me to then, or unless you have anything else for Dodson.
No.
Just fucking hated that character so much.
Really? You haven't said that yet.
What's that?
I wasn't sure you hadn't said anything about that yet.
What, Dodson?
How much you hated him.
I fucking hated it so much. Like I said, guys, I didn't hate the movie, but there's a lot of bad in this film. Let's get to the OGs. I think 2 out of the 3 do a great job. And then there's one that for some reason everyone seems to really, really like in the movie, and to me was one of the biggest problems going on whenever they're on screen. I think Laura Dern as Ellie, I think she was great. I enjoyed the chemistry back with her and Sam Neill as Grant. I thought everything about that worked, even though their character was stuck with the fucking Lotus. Because at the end of she's so worried. This is the part that made no sense to me by the end of the film. She's so worried about getting this DNA. So that way they had this information to kind of take down Biosyn. But by the end of the film, you didn't need it anymore. You got Wu, who made the Locust, going to testify. You've got Ramsey, who's also there to testify. And she's still like, I got to get this DNA to my guy in the Times. Like, your DNA don't mean shit anymore. It doesn't matter. First off, at this point, Dodson's dead. Everything's falling apart at Biosyn. And the two biggest people you could have to blow the whistle on this thing, they're already on your side. Your DNA doesn't fucking matter anymore. Like, it really doesn't. So why are you still focused on this?
Well, I mean, it wasn't like she went back to get it. She had it. You had it. She
no,
might
but
as well
I'm saying,
send it
after the whole
It's
event,
still physical evidence to go along with testimonies.
but you literally have the guy who fucking made the Lotus. You don't need that. And, like, she's still acting like she didn't have them on their side already. It's like, I gotta get this to my guy at the time. It's like, you don't fucking need to. Like, that's not gonna be the story. The story's gonna be Ramsey and Wu.
It's one line.
But the problem is that that's the whole crux of her character throughout this film.
But up until that point, she didn't know they had Ramsey. She didn't know they had.
At that point, though, she did. When with the whole thing with the Times, she already knew because they were already talking to the newspaper.
Well, at the end, I'm saying, but when she was going for the DNA, she didn't know.
I'm not talking.
End, like I said, it was just a matter of, I have this evidence, I'll still pass it on.
Throughout the film, like her mission in the film itself, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the end point. She's still like focused on the DNA. Like, it doesn't fucking matter, Ellie. Like,
the whole OG thing is,
I don't think they were needed.
The first half of the movie completely wasted, partially because they're on this whole Locust storyline.
Yeah.
Which we think doesn't. Here's the problem is in any movie where you have
legacy characters and new characters,
where they try to bring in old cast and new cast and try to pack with more people, inevitably what they're going to do, because you can't have one giant group of people walking around.
Yeah.
So you're going to break them up into separate quests and separate missions. And then you end up with things like this, where they're on this mission that we just don't care about this thing. And so I felt bad. I felt like especially when they're in going into the Locust room to collect the DNA stuff. Mm-hmm. I was just like, this is such a waste of these characters.
Now, when they go to the Ember Mine, that was great.
Yeah, once they get in the last.
Yeah.
Last hour of the movie, I liked having everybody there
Yeah,
together.
when we finally get the old and the new together, I loved it. Like them interacting with each other, their conversations,
Mhm.
all that shit was perfect. But it was up to that point because like you'd get 20 minutes of them, and then it's like, oh wait, we gotta go back to Owen and Claire. 20 minutes. Oh, now we gotta go back to here. It's like, I kept forgetting about fucking Grant and Ellie because like I don't give a shit about that storyline. But it was like I was like, oh wait, yeah, that's what they're doing. I totally forgot. And then we got Ian, Jeff Goldblum, which I'm sorry, he served no purpose in the fucking film. He is basically there to be Jeff Goldblum, just basically rant and do Jeff Goldblum things. What like he's obviously the foot in the door to get Ellie and Grant in the film. That's his whole thing. But like his whole like listening to his like was it a classroom lecture thing? It's just him rambling.
Well, I
For
think
a few
that
minutes,
that's
and
all I
then
need as a reason to explain why he's there, because he wouldn't go work for this company. He's not in favor of what they're doing.
Yeah.
He's basically there to tell everyone the dangers of what you're doing. And Dodge even says he's a contrarian, but that's it. He serves his purpose here. He lets people know to be responsible.
I
Blah,
get
blah,
that, but it's just the dialogue. It's just so it's like you guys just told Jeff Goldblum just as soon as we hit
blah.
action, just fucking.
But I mean, it felt like old Ian Malcolm, because that's exactly
It
the kind of thing
did.
old Ian Malcolm would do, and he still got to have a few good one-liners here and there, and so
But
I didn't have a problem with it.
there's one part that I couldn't stand. So it's the part where he's basically going off on Dotson, doing his whole like, oh, we all don't really know, and he's doing this. This is like, okay, cool, that's an Ian Malcolm thing, I get it. But then after the whole thing, he goes, Dotson, and then walks off. I'm like, okay, you said his name. What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
That's just weird, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, it's just like a. Was there more to that, or just Dotson? I was like, what the fuck is that? I talking about a plus though. I actually really did like. I want to say his name right. Is it Mamadou Afi as Ramsey?
I won't try to pronounce the name because I don't know, but
I think I've heard enough people talk about him enough to know that it's like Mamadou.
Mamoudou or something like that.
Mamadou. I like them.
Both him and DeWanda Wise.
Yeah, they were the best characters in the film to me.
I really enjoyed both of them. Now, the putting these two characters in there, it just reeked of, hey, we need more minority representation. I am not saying that they should not have been put in there. I'm just saying it just seemed like, it seemed like that was their reasoning for making these characters there. However, I liked the characters and I love the actors. They were two of my favorite characters in the movie, especially DeWanda Wise, who I will say now is my new pick to be Storm if they make an X-Men movie.
You sent me that before I saw the movie, and I was like, okay, he's clearly talking about the pilot chick. And then as I watched the movie, I'm like, okay, I can see it now. She'd be a pretty good Storm. She'd be a pretty good Storm. Because I remember her name popping up when we were trying to do the research for the recast. I was like, I don't know who the fuck this actress is.
And now I have to go excuse to go back and rewatch The Harder They Fall, because apparently she's in that movie too.
I'm trying to remember who she is in that movie.
I'm not. I think she might have been like his mom or something at the beginning. I'm not
maybe
sure.
So she's in like the one scene.
It's a small part, but it still makes an excuse to go watch it again.
She's great. I had a blast whenever she was on screen. I knew it was going to be something enjoyable because it was either going to be something action or she was going to have some great one-liners. And Ramsey, a lot of this time, he's just kind of standing there kind of observing. But I liked what he did. And I liked that he ended up being like the inside man for the whole thing. Instead of him kind of being generic bad guy number 2, I liked that he was a part of the like.
I was honestly worried he was going to turn out to be bad guy number 2, because like at the point where he like stops them right before they're going to get on the train to get to escape, I kind of thought he was setting them up to get captured.
Absolutely.
I thought he was going to try to be bad guy, but then it turned out he was a good guy, and I was really happy about that.
Yeah, but he was
I will say about him,
simple.
I could not figure out where I had seen him before until I looked it up. I looked up his credits when I got home, and there was a show, I believe it was a Netflix show, I think, might have been HBO, called The Get Down. Baz Luhrmann did the show about like early rap music. It starred Justice Smith was the main character in the movie. FX. And he played Grandmaster Flash. And I'm like, that's where I know him from. Wow. Anyway.
But yeah, no, that one scene where he's like, do you have the sample? And I'm like, shut up, Ellie. Shut up.
Yeah,
shut up.
He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. Like he's fucking with you. He knows you got it. But then like rewatching it a second time, you pick up on all of his things like, yeah, don't, looking at the camera. Yeah, don't go down there unless you got this. I'm like, oh, he's telegraphing this whole fucking thing.
See, when I first saw it, I thought it was just bad writing. Like, oh, so don't go down there unless you have.
It definitely comes off as bad writing, like most of the movie. But in that we watched it a second time, you're like, oh, he's he's unknowingly telling them fucking go down there without telling them. But yeah, no, that initial moment when you find out they know he actually was like, no, I'm the one who told Ian. And then like because even when Dotson finds out that it was Ian's thing, he's like bring Malcolm up here and Ramsey. I'm like, oh fuck, Ramsey got caught too. He's like, no, fucking Ramsey's in this the whole like he's like Randy's doing all this shit. He's never getting caught because Dotson trust him 100% the whole way through. But I really liked those two characters. They were probably my two favorite characters of the film. Counting the OGs, and I think they were the best characters in the film for me. Let's get Malta out of the way. I know we're jumping all over the place from this one. We're going third act, first act.
If you're watching this, you've seen the movie, so it's okay that we jump around.
Exactly. So Malta. There. Now this
Malta was the Fast and Furious segment of the movie.
Yeah, it was the Canto Bight Fast and Furious part of the film.
Because it was this thing. The reason I call it Fast and Furious, and I won't take credit because somebody else in a review I read was talking about how this felt like Fast and Furious mixed with Jurassic Park, is because, again, it's one of those scenes like in Fast and Furious where you have like 3 different chases going on. You have Chris Pratt's going over here chasing this guy, and Bryce Dallas Howard chasing her, and it's just like all stuff going on, and it's all so fast paced. And of course, you have all these fast vehicles and stuff, and you just added in Raptors, and yeah.
Were you before like I'm backspacing a little bit from Malta? Were you as annoyed as I was that they showed a picture of Jake Johnson and Jake Johnson wasn't in the fucking movie?
Yeah, well, you're talking about how that they
everyone from Jurassic World got picked by the CIA.
Jurassic World and recruited a bunch of the CIA, and they show her, and they also show is it Lauren Lapkus? Is that her name?
I don't remember her name, but you saw Jake, you saw the girl, and then you saw Omar. And
I thought we could see all 3 of them. And Omar, I believe it's pronounced C. But Omar C. I really liked seeing him again because I like him.
Here's the thing. Like, I was upset that we didn't get to see Jake because I love Jake Johnson. I was like,
I partially get it because he's not an action guy, so he's more like a computer guy, the guy in the chair. That's what he would.
I would have liked if him to like when Franklin sat down instead of like the big dude which to me looked like they were trying to go, hey, here's another Nedry. I would have loved if it was Jake.
Yeah.
Like why? That's such a like even the way he delivered those lines, like that would have been a perfect Jake like dialogue right there. And it would have been like a hey kind of thing. But I'm sorry. When I saw what's Omar's actual character name? Barry. What's such a weird thing. When I saw Barry in Malta, I was like, that's not Omar. He looks nothing like Omar. To the point where I was like, did they recast him? Because he had hair now. And he looked like he was a little heavier. And I was like, that doesn't look like Omar Sy at all. And like even watching it a second time, it still doesn't.
It looks totally like him to me, so I don't know.
It didn't look like him to me. Like the whole time I'm looking at him, it's like none of this looks like Omar. Like it's like that's fine. Like I believe the character, but it's just like the whole time I was like that's not the same guy to me. Like that looks like a totally different actor. But it is what it is. But so we get to Malta, and we get I love this actress. I'm not gonna say her name right. It's like Daishin Lockman.
Oh, Daikon Lockman.
Yeah, who plays Santos. I actually really enjoy this actress. I've seen her in a lot of TV and stuff. So when I saw her pop up on screen, I was like,
I know her from like Dollhouse and stuff.
Yeah, Dollhouse, and I know her from like Animal Kingdom and stuff like that. I got excited when I saw her, so I was like, yes, I like that she's in this. Her character's fine, but she's very one note. She's just badass, girl. And then once again, just like with Z or Zaya, she just is gone. We just don't see her again the rest of the movie. But
that makes sense. There's no reason they would take her to.
No, I know. Like at that point, the story has moved to Italy.
Yeah.
It's just it is what it is. But so, and that's the other thing too that I had a problem with. Like the concept of time in this movie was nothing. Like Beta and Maisie get caught, and then all of a sudden, boom, Claire and Owen are in Malta. And it's like, wow, we transitioned really fucking quick. Like, how much time has passed? Has it been days? Has it been...
Well, how exciting would it be to show the filmgoers an 18-hour plane ride?
I'm not saying, but what I'm saying is that you need to have some kind of transition, not just them all of a sudden just randomly walking down the street. Like, because it seemed like the way they shot it, it seemed like they landed they were already in Malta when fucking Maisie landed in Malta. That's what I'm talking about. It's like there was no like they had to have had time on them. Like that's how the thing is. Like there was this misconception of time. It seemed like they were right on. Like no, they had to go to the CIA and talk to Franklin and all this stuff. Like in hindsight, she should have already been in Italy by the time they got to Malta.
Well, there may have been other stops we don't know about there too.
Maybe, but it's just one of those things where it's like they got there really fucking quick. But then we get to I like to call it the Star Wars cantina scene, where they go to the underground, where you have like just
the black market, yeah,
yes, the black market, the cantina, like kind of thing, where it's like they've got like dino dog fighting, they've got just weird like people just holding dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff. Like then you got that one point where it looks like Kayla's like sitting on a throne, which then you have that interaction with her and this other dude where she takes a job, and then like once again that goes nowhere. Like I feel like was that a cut? Is that something that got cut later in the film? Because it was like unnecessary scene at that point.
I think it just showed that she was just there taking jobs, being whatever mercenary she can be before she got sidetracked by taking Claire and escaping.
Yeah, but I mean, so like that scene, I didn't hate it, but it was just like what movie are we in now?
I mean, I think that's another thing, which just kind of setting the atmosphere of if in a world where dinosaurs have been in the public, there's going to be a black market for dinosaurs.
Yeah, people will do these things for dinosaurs. Yeah. We get this whole I can't remember what kind of raptor it was, but they're basically this is the Indominus, the Indoraptor from Fallen Kingdom. They do the laser eye thing, like you put a laser eye at these people that they're gonna go after those specific people, which I was like, man, they just couldn't get away from the fucking Indo. Like they're not Indoraptors, they're not. But there's like
there's other raptors who apparently have been trained on this.
And I love how clever she was with everything. How she was like, click, kind of thing. Like man, she's such a good she's so good. Like she just starts hitting everybody with it. But then we get to this one. Actually, no, we'll hold off on the raptors. We get this like chase sequence between was it Docklin or I forgot what the bad guy's name is who kidnaps.
Oh, I don't remember his name. Yeah.
It was like Daughtry, Docklin.
Was that Delacourt? No, was that somebody else?
It might have been Delacourt actually. It started with a D. Yeah, it was Delacourt. It was Delacourt. You get this chase sequence where we get Pratt doing the double hand force, like don't attack me, I'm doing the hand thing. And so I mean that was the start of like you said, the Fast and Furious. You get a chase sequence. Dude really gets kind of a fucked up death. Like I love like you saw the one little Allosaurus was still like going down his arm, eating his whole arm kind of thing. And I love how like the little one, like he's still acting like the little one's eating. I was like, dude, he's eating your jacket. Like, calm down. Like I know
tell me where she is, and he tells her, and he's like, okay, I'm still gonna let you die.
That thing just clamped down his.
Right.
I'm assuming his head at that point.
Yeah.
But then we get to the point where they release these. I can't remember what kind of raptors they were, but they're raptors nonetheless. The CG on these raptors did not look good, especially during the chase sequence. Like when they get out of their cages, they looked fine, but when the whole chase sequence, the CG for these raptors did not look the greatest compared to the rest of the film. But once again, apparently, on top of being a woman that can run an amusement park, who then becomes a dino activist, who saves dinosaurs, apparently Claire can fucking outrun a raptor and a T-Rex with no fucking problem. These raptors can chase down Owen on a fucking motorcycle and chase down cars, but damn, they cannot catch Claire. Claire's too fucking fast for this shit. That whole scene is stupid. That raptor, first off, raptors can run cheetah speed. Fucking Claire is not cheetah fast.
It is said in earlier films, though, it's like if they get a good open area, they can get up to speed. When she was going through like buildings and bedrooms and jumping across railings and things.
They can leap. We've seen them leap. Claire should have died like 18 times during that chase sequence.
You're not wrong, but she's a main character, so she won't. That's any movie.
Then don't put her in a situation that's so laughably bad, and then like 5 minutes later, you're watching them basically chase down Owen, who's going full speed on a motorcycle. It's like, no, Claire should have died. Like, don't put Claire in that. Just don't put Claire in that position. Like, you don't need to put Claire in that position because I'm sorry, it's not fucking believable. Like, there's that one part where she lands, she jumps on the roof, and somehow the raptor doesn't still catch up to her, and she shuts the door, and the raptor busts through the door, and then she's like 3 flights down already. It's like, once again, Claire's not that fucking fast. And it's just like, oh my God. And then Barry, he's trapped in like, was it a boat? He's trapped in a boat, and he put down like those canisters, and he's spraying it at the raptor. And the raptor's trying to get through, and he can't get in. And Barry's trying to bust the door through.
Mm-hmm.
You have a gun. Shoot the fucking raptor in the face. You can unload your whole clip into that raptor, and you'll be fine. And then he uses it to shoot the lock, and he leaves that raptor kind of just like alone. It's like, dude, you have a gun. Fucking use it. Like, you're a CIA agent. Like, you're smarter than this. But I did like the callback with Barry and Owen, where it's like, hey, remember how we used to get the raptors in the truck? Duck and roll. Like, I love their interaction, because I think that they worked great together.
It was like, it's your turn this time. He's like, what? No,
I never had the timing down. Like, I'm not good. So, like, I enjoyed that. And then we get the chase sequence, which was, I think, once we got Claire in the car and stopped running from the fucking raptor that should have eaten her 8 times, then like it was good. It was enjoyable. It was fun. Speed. I mean, you have like this. You still. I know you said it. I know you've defended this. I'm sorry. I still can't be okay with the fucking moped guy getting eaten. I'm sorry. That dude mopeding between the 2 Allosauruses is the fucking dumbest fucking thing. No idiot would go, let me get on my little scooter and drive between these 2 fucking dinosaurs. Oh no, I got 8. No fucking shit, idiot. Let's drive between the 2 dinosaurs and not get eaten. Like, you're I saw that in the trailer, and I bashed it in the trailer. Brian's like, dude, it's one fucking thing. It's like, no,
we don't know. Maybe he just rounded the corner and was like, what? We don't know.
He's on a fucking straightaway. Like, he's in the middle of a fucking area. These dinosaurs are right here, and he right between them. It's so. I hate that. I hate it so much. But the rest of the chase sequence was great. I thought it was fun. I think the whole like them on the runway and how they did the whole back, put back to get the raptor off them. I thought all that.
No, I mean the whole action sequence.
It was great.
I had the whole movie. There are nitpicks. I mean, you've heard me comment on so many nitpicks. Yeah. But I still enjoyed the hell out of it. And this action scene, no exception. I enjoyed the action scenes. I mean, Fast and Furious movies, there's so many plot holes and nitpicks, but I enjoy those chase sequences. That's how it is.
It is. And like I said, I didn't hate this movie, but I'm going to attack it on merit because I love this franchise so much. I'm not going to let it off easy, where I would maybe let off an MCU movie or something off a little bit easier, because these movies deserve better. They do. Now,
even though you've already hated 2/5 of them.
That doesn't mean that, like I said, I hate them. But it doesn't mean that I haven't watched them both like 10 times, compared to other movies that I hate that I'll never watch ever again. Like I said, I'm bashing the shit out of this movie, but I still fucking watched it twice in less than 24 hours. The actual dinosaur scenes, because there weren't many, because they took a fucking backseat to the fucking locust in the film. I liked a lot of the dino stuff. I really did.
There are dinosaurs in your dinosaur movie, right?
I wanted to say that fucking line, but I figured you would eye roll me so bad, and I didn't. But I'm so glad that you fucking said it, because I so bad. I was like, I want to say this line during our show tonight. And I know Brian's gonna go like this, but you doing it just makes it that fucking much better. But when we get to the part where they get attacked by it's whatever.
Giganosaurus or whatever it is.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact word. That whole sequence looked really great. When they crash land, you get the feathered raptor, and they kind of almost did like a Jaws thing with it. That all worked. I kind of wish there was more of that raptor, because like that was such a trailer focus, and it was just one scene. The scene was great. It was shot really well, and I enjoyed everything about that scene. I just kind of
he did get to Wolverine the Giganosaurus though.
Exactly. And then well, yes, I was saying. Then we got this blind dinosaur. I didn't hate it. I was like, all right. I was like, this is unique. I don't remember what it's called. I don't think they actually ever say its name in the movie, because the 2 times
honestly, most of the dinosaur movies, they don't tell the names of. We just have to look them up and find out.
Well, yeah, like I never knew that dinosaur existed. It basically looked like a giant fucking ostrich with fucking 10 feet like Wolverine. It's basically a blind. I've seen
pictures of it, so I think it's a real one that existed. I don't know what it's called. I won't pretend.
It could be one of those things where maybe it wasn't that big. Because let's put it this way: when it was going after Claire, it did not look as big as how we saw it in the final scene. In the final scene, it looked like it grew 3 times. Now, granted, that could have been a different one of that, but the way Jurassic Park is, if you only see one, that's the only one you see, unless it's a raptor. But that whole scene, I think, worked. I liked that. Clearly, it's not a carnivore because it didn't eat the deer; it was eating the plants. It just was like, get the fuck away from my deer, or get the fuck away from my plant, deer, and just knocked it the fuck off. But I think all that worked well. The Giga, I'm just gonna call it Giga Rex, because I can't remember the whole entire name. That's a real dinosaur, so I can't get mad at it. And it is as big as it is. It's just I don't think it was around the same time as the T-Rex, and I think that's why, everyone's like, why isn't that the king of the dinosaurs? Because the fucking T-Rex is, bitch. Go ahead.
Now, you saw it twice. Was the line in the trailer? Maybe I missed it. I didn't hear Ian Malcolm.
I know what you're gonna say. Say
why do they always make them bigger?
Ian always says why do they always go bigger? Because I think they were trying to tease that this was a genosplice dinosaur.
But it wasn't in the movie, right?
What's that?
But that line wasn't in the movie, right?
No.
Okay.
Because that dinosaur is a normal dinosaur. It's not a made up dino like the Indo.
Right.
And like I said, when Ramsey said that, I was like, well, because as soon as Ramsey said that the first time, where it's like, no, we don't do that here. I was like, well, that line.
I kind of like the way you said that. It's kind of like them saying, like, we don't do that.
We're not doing that stupid shit. So that made that line.
Dinosaur is called the Therizinosaurus.
The Rizza.
We'll call him the Rizza.
Hey, we're gonna call it the Rizza. But yeah, as soon as Ramsey said that one line, I was like, well, that line that Ian's gonna say later doesn't make sense. But it wasn't in the trailer. It was a trailer line.
Yeah.
Because like I said, Grant says it's the biggest carnivore ever on land because the Mesosaurus would have fucking just eaten the whole thing. But like I said, that dinosaur was like, I had nothing against that. But once again, because the dinosaurs took a back seat, there wasn't enough scenes in the movie for it to be this big bad. It was just there. And it wasn't like, granted, it had its big scene where it attacks the group. But once again, you could have just done that with the T-Rex. You didn't need to throw this other dinosaur in there. Like, the T-Rex would have been fine. The T-Rex doesn't always have to be the good guy. You could have had the T-Rex attack them, and I think it still would have had the same thing.
The T-Rex jumping in and saving the heroes has been done in like every single one of these
exactly.
movies so far, and it's getting a little.
For some reason, the T-Rex, or what people like to call him, Rexy, has always hasn't been a good guy for some reason, and I don't know why they are so focused on making the T-Rex a good guy. I love the T-Rex. It's my favorite dinosaur, but you don't need to have it be this hero every fucking time. Just let the T-Rex be a fucking T-Rex. It likes to eat people. Let it fucking try to eat people. So like I said, the Giga Rex, I mean, like I said, I have nothing wrong with it. It's a real dinosaur. It wasn't a Genosplice Indominus Rex kind of thing, but they could have just done the T-Rex, and I think it would have served much feature because we would have had the T-Rex in the film more. I do like that the Dilophosaurus got more time in this movie. Because I said that literally, and I think I was like, the Dilophosaurus is such a beautiful dinosaur. Why is it not used? And it's like, all right, Sean, we fucking heard you. Here's some more Dilophosaurus up your ass. And granted, I think that one would have hit Claire with the venom way faster. But clearly, they had to get Owen in there to do it. I do like though that clearly it did do it, but he clamped him down because you could see like it coming out of its mouth, kind of thing. Like, so it was like a little thing that I saw. I was like.
And then after that, didn't they show like Owen trying to get it off his hand or something like that?
No, it was Kayla going ew and
Kayla, that's what it was.
Gloves.
Yeah.
So I like that it was that little thing there where I was like, okay, so he did spit, but he got clamped down before he could, so like it was stuck in his mouth kind of thing. But and then of course that ends up being I was watching the second time I was watching with my mom, and I could tell that she had rewatched the movies before this because she goes, that Barbasol can is just a fucking bad luck charm. I was like. She said that, I just did the nod, like, I appreciate your line there. It's like, good for you for saying that.
Now you can tell her it was the same guy. That's why.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm still not happy about that. But the Dilophosaurus got their due. Like I said, a lot of the dinosaur stuff, when they were used, I think worked really, really well. The final battle, Was it necessarily needed? No, but every Jurassic Park film has to have like a big dino face-off. I don't think Fallen Kingdom did, though. I don't think Fallen Kingdom had a big dino fight. They just had them all escaping.
No, I mean they had dino fights earlier in the movie, but at the ending it was just about them getting out in the wild. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like I think there's one thing was like the Allosaurus was going to attack Owen, and the T-Rex came in and like ate or attacked the Allosaurus, but that wasn't a big fight. That was just kind of like a quick shot.
Yeah.
Another reason why I hate Fallen Kingdom. But it was one of those things too where it's like, yeah, we're rushing all the dinosaurs into this one area. It's like, well, a lot of them are gonna die because
the carnivores.
If they're carnivores, I mean, unless you're gonna put the herbivores in a different area, like the carnivores are gonna have like fucking great. This is a buffet, fantastic. Because I'm sorry, the Brontosaurus is in the same area where the T-Rex and everyone was. So I was like, there's a lot of these that are gonna die because you're forcing them into this one spot. But
and maybe that's part of the reason that he didn't want to do it, because I mean it's like he's going to lose somebody. At that point, it was too late to do anything.
I don't think. I mean, it's a contingency plan that everyone knew it was about. I think it was just more or less like he officially lost. I don't think it was that he cared about the dinosaurs getting pushed in there. I think it was more like
he cared about losing all his research and his money, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why he did the whole thing. Yeah. But the fight itself, it was a little too dark for my taking. There's a lot that you couldn't see. They had this random light hitting there. The fight was fine for what it was. I
did like the group was standing there, because in like most movies, it's like the monsters are fighting over like who's going to get to eat the people and stuff like that.
Exactly, and then
they were standing there in the middle of it, and then finally somebody's like, "This isn't about us," and so they all just took off.
As much as I love Grant, I feel like Owen should have said that line, because Owen and Kayla were there when they faced off the first time, and the T-Rex got punked out. Grant, I don't think unless Grant's just like, oh, I know dinosaurs, this isn't about us. I think that should have been an Owen line. Because Owen just doesn't fucking talk enough in the movie. But Owen and Kayla saw their first interaction. That should have been a line for Pratt to say, going, I know what's going on. This is not about us, and fucking run. I liked all that. I still think that in that whole sequence with the Giga attacking them and that little headquarter thing, unpopular opinion, Malcolm should have died.
I thought he was going to. Honestly.
He should have died in that moment. He should have sacrificed himself in that way to keep them like. I'm sorry. I feel like
this franchise has never been about. This franchise has always been all the main characters live.
I
can't think of a hero main character that has died in this series.
There hasn't.
Exactly.
And
I think part of that is because that'd be too dark for kids, and this has got a lot of kid fans.
I mean, a lot of people get eaten in the movie. I think Ian should.
But nobody you've grown attached to.
Well, true. But yeah, so everyone gets unscathed except for Wu, like breaks his arm or something because he falls down. I don't know. No one cares about Wu. I remember because my mom was like, "Fucking eat him." I was like, "You do know they need him alive to like fucking do the load." I don't care. I don't like him. Like that's what she was saying next to me during the movie. I was like, "He needs to stay alive," and she's like, "Fuck him," and I was like, "Okay." But so we get the dino fight. Like the RZA comes in and dominates, and then like part of me was wondering, was like, did the RZA and the T-Rex fight after that, or were they kind of doing the whole blue Rex thing, where it's like, we good kind of thing? We don't know because they drove off at that point. But like I said, the fight was fine for what it was. Not needed, but once again, it's a Jurassic Park movie. You got to have a big dino fight unless you're Fallen Kingdom. And then, of course, we get the inevitable end of the film where they're doing like the here's where everyone ended up kind of deal.
Exactly where we started. Okay.
Exactly where we started. Where you have Charlotte playing a video because she apparently knew how this movie was going to end, even though she's been dead for 13 years, saying that we all need to be in unity and live together. And then we get the great scenery shots
which is the exact same dialogue that the BBC reporter or whatever would say at the beginning, is that we're now in this world where dinosaurs and humans need to learn to live in a world together. It's like, yeah, we said that 2.5 hours ago.
We repeated this already. And it's one of those things where, like I said, I felt like we could have done two separate films. One film is the movie that we wanted, and the second film was this actual movie that we got. Like I said, all in all, like I said, it's a mess. It's a mess of a film. But was I entertained throughout it? Yes, I was. There's a lot wrong with this fucking movie. There's a lot of things that agitated me, but not to the point of Fallen Kingdom where they're auctioning dinosaurs for $4 million or the T-Rex getting punked out like a bitch in Jurassic Park 3.
Honestly, I'd still say take out the entire Locust subplot.
If you take out the entire Locust subplot, this movie
then the only remaining problem, in my opinion, I totally lost my train of thought. But you take out the Locust subplot, and the only remaining problem is that we still haven't gotten the whole dinosaurs and humans living out in the world together, still on a preserve.
And then you had to figure out another subplot to get the OGs to go to bios.
But that's just it. Is they could.
But it's easily it can be done. It can be done.
Ian could have invited them there for any number of reasons, but I'm just saying the Locust subplot, you take that out, and the movie already increases 50%. I enjoyed it clearly a lot more than Sean did. Yes, I have nitpicks. I totally admit to a lot.
What was your review? Because I actually didn't see what you gave it.
I actually gave it 4 stars.
4. Okay.
Yeah, which to me, I mean, because it's like if I'm going to look at this movie as filmmaking and story structure and all this kind of thing, it's not going to be a highly rated film. If I'm looking at as like I rate movies on my Letterboxd, which is everybody has their own way of rating things. I ran a pure entertainment, and I had fun. And this is the kind of movie I'm willing to overlook little nitpicks and just say, you know what, I had a lot of fun.
The main worry I had coming into this, because I saw this on at least like a few people who got to see it early, and I didn't read the reviews, but this is like their little like Twitter mentioning thing, is the main thing that a lot of people said is that this franchise, or at least in this film, has lost the magic that Jurassic Park was. And I do agree with that. As I was watching this movie, like I said, I'm entertained because it's fucking dinosaurs, but does it have the magic that I would say the first 2 films had? And the answer is no. This felt just more like an action movie that had dinosaurs in it. It didn't have the love or the embrace of what Jurassic Park and most points Lost World had. It was just kind of like let's just make a summer film with the Jurassic franchise, but let's lose all the essence, in my opinion, that made Jurassic Park as amazing as it was. Let's not worry about the characters. Let's not develop them. Granted, like I said, Kayla and Ramsey were good characters, but I felt like the magic for the Jurassic Park film was lost in this, or basically the last 2 films in general. Jurassic World, I think, did a solid job of trying to bring that magic essence back, but Fallen Kingdom and Dominion greatly failed at that. That doesn't make them bad. It just means that it doesn't feel like Jurassic Park.
I can respect what your opinion on that, because you're saying it's lost like the magic of it, the magic lost the feeling of it. I totally get that. There are 2 criticisms though I've heard a lot that I will totally push back against. One being people saying that this movie and Fallen Kingdom to some extent like goes against everything that Jurassic Park has ever been about, and it's like no, all movies have been about you shouldn't mess with nature. You think you can control it and you can't, and it's only going to end badly. That's what every single one of them is about.
I don't agree with that. Because
even people are like, this goes against everything. It's like you're wrong. You're just wrong on that.
Even with Fallen Kingdom with the clone thing, that's still very on brand with what Jurassic Park was doing in the first.
And the second thing I've heard, not as much, but I've heard people talking about is like how now it's boring because you're now in this world where they're acting like seeing dinosaurs is normal. It's just been this normalization of dinosaurs. It's like, okay, first of all, by the time you got to Jurassic World, which is 7 years ago, they already said that at this point, because dinosaurs had existed for 15, 20 years, whatever it is, again, that people would look at them like they look at elephants in a zoo. So they'd already been somewhat normalized. And then between Jurassic World and now, it's been another 7 years, or even just between Fallen Kingdom and now, they've actually been out in the world. So
4 years.
Yes, people are not going to be like every time they see a dinosaur, like, oh my God, it's a dinosaur. It's like,
but see, that's the thing, is that they still were, because even like I said, that one scene with the Brontosaurus out in the construction site, everyone was still kind of like with their phones out and like and all like that. All was still there,
right? So which is why I don't understand people's complaint.
That either.
So yeah, like you said, if you don't feel like it has the same tone to it, the same magic, the same. I totally respect that opinion, but these other ones I just had to push back against.
No. When I say about the magic, I'm saying.
No, I understand. You're saying a different thing. Yes.
Yeah, it's the awe and wonder of the storytelling of the film and the way they treat the dinosaurs in the movie. Like they were this amazing thing where now they're just, CGI things, like, what's still not bad, but it just doesn't have what made Jurassic Park fucking fantastic and one of the best movies of all time. It doesn't have that anymore. I feel like it's lost that, and it's become kind of like a Fast and the Furious with dinosaurs kind of thing, where it's like you're gonna watch it, but it's more mind-numbing popcorn flick than it was what Jurassic Park was, which was this phenomenal story with characters and great plots and these phenomenal creatures. But it's more about these characters, and the dinosaurs are a part of it. But these characters are so fucking fantastic. Where it's like, yeah, your lead for these last two films can't put more than 2 sentences together of dialogue throughout the film. And the OGs are here, but they feel unnecessary on the film. They felt thrown into this just to make people come see this, because a lot of people didn't like Fallen Kingdom. And Claire, like I said, I like Claire in this one because what she's driving for. But it just felt like none of these characters really mattered in the film. They're just it's kind of very almost Fantastic Beasts in a way, where it's like you don't need these characters for these. You don't need Owen. Owen and Claire aren't needed in this film. They're only in this film because Maisie got taken. Grant and Ellie.
I would still rather watch Owen and
same
Claire in this movie than, oh my gosh, Sam Neill and Laura Dern, Alan and Ellie. I blanked down their names. I would still rather watch the.
I agree, but if you think about the story itself, they're only thrusted into the story because Maisie got taken. If the Maisie thing wasn't a part of it, they would not interfere with this.
And the other ones were thrown in because of the Locust storyline, which is
exactly. And then the OGs are thrown in because of the Locust storyline, and it's just like it's not like Jurassic World where they're a part of the park. They're the only people that can potentially save this. And with Fallen Kingdom, they get captured and get taken to the mansion, and that's why they're there, kind of a thing. And then they become a part of the storyline. It's with this one, it's like they don't really give these characters. Like I said, Claire's all about kind of being a mother and protecting Maisie, and Dern, it's about basically still trying to save the world in a way. And Grant's just tagging on because he's fucking thirsty for Laura Dern. Let's be real. Let's be real here. Grant's only tagging along because he wants to tap that Ellie Sandler ass. Let's be real here. And Owen, like, yeah, it's a fatherly thing as well. Like their characters have more of a straight focus, but if you take the Maisie story out of this thing, they would have just stayed in that fucking cabin and not have affected the story at all. Like for me, like so you gave it 4 stars. I gave it 2.5, which is a 45 or a 54% is what I gave it, which is above Jurassic Park 3. It's above Fallen Kingdom. But it would be third to last because I think, like I said, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World and Lost World do exactly what the franchise does well. And like I said, Dominion, there's good things in here, but there's the script's a mess. The dialogue in a lot of spots is a mess. And the Locust storyline is something that no one ever asked for, no one wanted. Just like no one wanted a fucking auction of dinosaurs in Fallen Kingdom, or all the dinosaurs in the mansion in Fallen Kingdom. I don't understand why they keep keep it simple, stupid. It's dinosaurs. You don't have to make this complicated. You could have just given us the movie that we were given in the trailer, which is dinosaurs in the real world. How now could the endpoint be that Biosyn finally came up with a sanctuary and that it was about them trying to get them all to the sanctuary away from the human population? Yeah, you could have made that story, and then boom, there we go. But I feel like we collectively, as fans, probably could have written a better story for Dominion than the screenwriters did for this film. If the main plot was the dinosaurs are around the world. They got to find a way to figure this out. Not kill the dinosaurs off, but find a way to get the dinosaurs to cohabitate with humans, or figure out a way to get the dinosaurs removed, kind of like they were initially. And that's the plot of the story. I think that would
realistic beasts and how to find them.
Exactly. Exactly.
For me, it was second from the bottom for me on the list. But that's at 4 stars. So it's like it's better than Jurassic World 3 to me, but as you can see just from the fact that my second to the bottom is 4 stars, I enjoy the whole franchise.
Yeah,
I'm curious. You said your second time did you give it a rating in your mind after your first viewing, and did it go down, or was it 2.5 from the beginning?
It did go. Well, like I said, when I initially left the theater the first time, I was like, I sent you that. I was like, I didn't hate it. I was high off that. You know how you get that like that. I don't want to call it adrenaline because you're fucking sitting down watching a movie, but you know, like everything's like that was great, that was fun, I really liked it. And then you have like that 30 minutes later, and you start like replaying everything, and then you start to go like when I left the theater, it was a 7 for me. It was at 70.
7 stars. Wow.
Yeah, 7 stars. The drive home where I was just kind of sitting there and just replaying everything in my head, and I started to find like, well, no. It had dropped to 60% for me. So from literally from me leaving the theater to the 30-minute drive home, it dropped 10%. In my mind, I knew it was better than Jurassic Park 3 and Fallen Kingdom. That was 100%. To me, was it better than Lost World? When I left the theater, was it better than Lost World? By the time I got home, I was like, no, it's not better than Lost World. So I know it's 100% in the middle. It's just what percentage. And then watching it the second time tonight, I was hoping that some of the things that I was nitpicking when I was driving home would get fixed watching it the second time. And none of them got fixed. If anything, they got heightened, which dropped it down to 54%. Like I said, the average viewer, not the critics that you and I are, and not the people who are like the incredibly die-hard Jurassic Park fans. I think for the most part, you guys are probably gonna like the movie. I think because it's entertaining. There's dinosaurs, and I don't think you guys are gonna be paying attention to Chris Pratt doesn't say more than fucking 10 words.
Yeah, because I mean, this is one of those movies where last I checked earlier today, the critics' Rotten Tomatoes is at 33%, and
the lowest of
was
any Jurassic Park film.
Yeah, and then, but then the regular audience score was at 80%. So it's one of those movies where it's just a big.
It's gonna be divisive. Yeah. But I mean, I think the average moviegoer, I think, will find it. I think it'll be average. I think it'll be like a 6 or 7 for average, people, or be like, that was really fucking cool. I liked it. The diehard Jurassic Park fans, I think, it's gonna be like between like how you and I are, where you're either gonna be like, yeah, there's problems with it, but I still had a fun time, 4 stars, or I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it / like it either. But it is what it is. It's not the worst. It's right in the middle kind of thing.
I will say that I think that especially mine, because I had a number 1, box office predictions are going to be way too high.
Oh yeah, it is.
Because it's
going to have a great weekend.
Plenty of people are going to see it this weekend. They might even see it a little bit next weekend, although Lightyear is going to eat into it with the younger crowd, especially. Yeah. But by the time the next big blockbuster comes, which I think will be Thor first week of July, I think so. Yeah. I want to say it's next big one, unless there's something on June 24th. I don't know.
Black Phone, but that's not gonna.
By the time, but whatever the next big blockbuster comes out.
Oh, and Elvis.
People are going to basically stop watching this. It's not going to have the legs that previous ones did, where it played through the summer kind of thing.
Yeah, because Top Gun Maverick, I messaged you about this. It actually ended up being better than what they initially said. Top Gun Maverick only had sorry guys, we're going box office talk here. Top Gun Maverick only had a 29% drop from week 1 to week 2, which is a record for any movie that made over 100 million its first week, and that's still going strong. Jurassic Park's gonna have a great opening weekend. I was at last night when I went to saw the sneak peek. There was only 4 people in my theater, but I went to the 11 p.m. showing. When I went tonight, I went at 7:00, and the whole fucking thing was sold out. So it's going to have a great weekend. Week 2, I think if people didn't really like the movie, I think you're going to see a drastic drop off. A lot of it, I think, is going to depend on international.
You'll see minimum 50% drop off. Yeah.
But no, if I was redoing our summer box office predictions, I would probably put Jurassic. I think I had it at 2, you had it at 1. I think I would probably put it at
4 or
6.
5 for me.
No higher than 5. I think no higher than 5, because I think Minions is still gonna fucking be Minions and be a pain. Thor is gonna bust through. Top Gun Maverick clearly is gonna be a top tier. And then
Doctor Strange is still up there.
Yeah, Doctor Strange technically to me is a summer movie, and it's going to be right up there as well. So I don't think it'll go higher than 5, but it could go as low as 7.
Yeah.
Unless everyone loves Lightyear, I word of mouth right now, Lightyear's kind of, it's fine, but it's not like blow you away amazing. I don't see Lightyear jumping it. So between 5 and 7 is where I think it'll work. So we are completely sucking on our predictions for the summer so far. But yeah, like I said, nonetheless, like I said, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, you're gonna watch this movie regardless. It's kind of in your DNA to watch it. We all have Dino DNA in a way, so you're gonna check the movie out. And like I said, as much as I had problems with it, I still went back and saw it 24 hours later.
Yeah, I'm going to see it.
Had my parents if my parents hadn't wanted to go see it tonight, would I have gone and seen it again? No. Doesn't mean I wouldn't have watched it again later, but I wouldn't have gone and seen it within 24 hours.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it, I'm sure, a couple more times in theaters, probably once the next day or two here.
If I had IMAX, I probably would have went and saw it again because I want to see it in IMAX. Because watching it, last night's viewing was on a way better screen, and it looked really good. The theater I go to, my local theater, is not a good theater. The screens are just not that great, and you could
the people are even worse, it sounds like. But
what's that?
And the people are even worse, it sounds like.
Yeah, there was a fucking person in there with a laser pointer who kept flashing every time a dinosaur got on screen. That laser pointer went all around the dinosaur, which I was totally surprised that when Laura Dern showed up and she was wearing kind of this schedule. I'm surprised he didn't do the boobs because I don't know if it was a kid or a teenager or whatever. But I swear to God, once the fucking
laser targeting
Santos started doing the laser targeting, I was like, oh my God! I was like, if I could see which kid it was or what teenager it was, I would have done something.
Yeah, I'm going to see it a couple more times, I'm sure. Like I said at the beginning, it's not the grand finale. It's not like you said in 2. It's not the story I wanted to wrap up this thing, and it has plenty of problems, but I enjoyed it. It's just
I think also, and like I said, we said this during our summer movie preview, this is probably going to be one of the weakest summers in a long time. I think even last year had a better summer than this year. It could have legs where it'll continually make money, but it's not going to make the big money that like Jurassic World made or even Fallen Kingdom made. Mm-hmm. I think even if we go into week 3, week 4, I think it's still going to do well, but it's not going to make the ton of money that we think it's.
Yeah, it's not going to play the whole summer like the
previous one. It's not. But I mean, like I said, they very rarely do any of them do now because they have like the streaming thing, like after 45 days, it's got to pop up on this.
Well, that's the other thing is this is Universal, and Universal has the option of putting things on streaming as early as 17 days. Now, they don't do free streaming, but they could do it. Well, technically they could. They could
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the weekend box office for the second week has such a huge drop that they don't go, let's just drop it in streaming.
I think they go exclusive until, if anything, I think maybe like I said, when Thor drops, once it's July, and they figure we've made pretty much the bulk of our theatrical money, I could see them putting it on for premium rental or purchase or Peacock. I don't think they're desperate enough for Peacock viewers. They would dump it for free, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out. But anyway, that's anything else, or
I pretty much covered everything I had to say.
Yeah, so I think we've covered everything that I wanted to cover. There might be little nitpicks here and there, but I think the bulk of what we wanted to talk about we got through. But we hope you guys enjoyed the spoiler review of or spoiler chat. It's not really it's a review, but it's more of a chat of Jurassic World Dominion. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Like I said, we shot our Jurassic franchise flashback earlier this week where we talked about the other 5 films in the series. Also, my non-spoiler review for the movie is going to be out now as well, but you just spent an hour and a half talking about the movie, why you're going to watch the non-spoiler review. But there is also a review for Netflix's Hustle with Adam Sandler. Brian has not seen that movie because Brian doesn't like Adam Sandler, but you can check out my review for it on the channel. And then we will be back next week for our actor, actress, director showcase, where we'll be talking about Chris Hemsworth, Jennifer Lawrence, and Steven Spielberg. And then the week after that, we'll be back with the Movie Crusaders Chat About, right in time for Lightyear. We will be talking about the fall of Pixar. I feel like that's going to be a fun conversation. We'll see how Lightyear is. Lightyear's really going to
hot takes. Come watch us.
Lightyear is really going to dictate how this conversation is going to go at the end of the month. So we will definitely see. And then, of course, once we hit the end of January, we will have our half-year review where we'll rank our... What's that?
You said end of January. You meant end of June.
June. We'll have our half-year review where we'll rank our top 10 movies of the year, our disappointments, our surprises, and all that kind of stuff. So we got plenty of stuff coming up here. And there's also, like I said, we got Elvis, Black Phone, what comes out next week? Lightyear. I just fucking said it. We got plenty of movies coming out. Plus there's stuff in streaming that's coming out as well. Brian and I haven't discussed it yet. We're thinking that we might do an Obi-Wan discussion once the season's over. We both watched Miss Marvel. I don't think either one of us really thought it was that great. Everyone else seems to be loving it. We were just kind of like, eh.
I also feel like I'm not the target audience, but anyway.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I wasn't the target audience for Miss Marvel either. But we are the target audience for The Boys. And The Boys is fucking fantastic, but Brian hasn't even finished.
I'm so not caught up.
So yeah, The Boys is great. I know we don't talk about a lot of TV, but right now TV's honestly doing so well, right? There's so much good stuff on TV. Stranger Things also. There's so much good stuff TV-wise that's come out this past month. Maybe we'll do TV talk at some point, or I will. I don't know if Brian wants to do any TV talk conversations, but like I said, we got plenty of stuff to come out. Check out all that stuff. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Like I said, my name is Sean Wassercrew. That is Brian Michaels. We are the Movie Crusaders. Until next time, in case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.